You ever wonder why your matchmaking feels off? Or why some online games feel like ghost towns while others are thriving? It's not just you. Console gamers are in the dark about something critical that directly impacts their competitive experience, and even the lifespan of their favorite games. It's time we shine a light on player count transparency. To start with, my focus with this video is specifically on multiplayer games. And while I do see the benefit of sharing single player game player numbers, I think it's more important and more valuable for multiplayer game numbers to be shared. When looking at player counts, we often refer to things like Steam charts and other third-party trackers that are always, readily available. And this doesn't paint a full picture. A game could be more popular on console, like far more popular, but as we only have the one outlet, which would be things like Steam charts itself, which refers to simply one store, we're not counting Epic Store or anything else, but console itself could hold a very large, majority of the population of the game. However, when looking at these games and thinking, oh my, this game is, about to die or something, looking at Steam charts doesn't always paint the full picture. Console players know very little about game populations. It's worse in games that don't have crossplay, which, yes, there's fewer and fewer of them by the day, but there are still some out there. I don't personally know of a lot of examples. I might show some on screen, I might not, whatever. But the whole idea that I'm trying to put here is when simply looking at, console versus console, we don't know where we stand. We don't know whether this is a healthy game. This plays into account a lot when looking at getting into a new game. If it's a free game, that's a bit fine. You can just take the risk, see, and maybe you'll get matches, maybe you won't. But when looking at games that you have to purchase, that's then a different case altogether, because now you need to know these numbers so that you're not investing into something that's already long then forgotten. I mean, sure, we can still refer back to like again Steam itself, but it doesn't paint a clear picture. A game, for example, like the finals mentioned, but a game like the finals is fully crossplay. As a console player, I believe you can turn off the crossplay, but I've not found the need to. And even with the full crossplay, we only have the picture of Steam numbers, which sometimes ranges between 20 to the tens of thousands, which, when looking at it like that, doesn't sell the full picture. There were times where the finals devs said on occasion they, like almost on a daily basis, they get around 300,000 players. It's not concurrent players, but rather, you know, players that come in throughout the course of the day, which makes sense. Concurrent is who's on at the moment, and rolling players could be anybody that choose to log in for 2 minutes, in and out, that kind of thing. But then with that also, a large majority of that could still fall on console, and without knowing the console details, we don't really know the full picture. Case in point, if say I wanted to play ranked, but I felt like going against PC players is a bit too rough, I don't, but you could essentially turn off the crossplay and jiggle with that. But not knowing how many people are on the game at the time sort of would put me in a rough situation, especially with the game already on Steam alone being having such little players. So I really think that we need to know more about console players, like the number of players on each platform. And I don't think this harms the platform in any way. Yes, there might be that discrepancy of PlayStation, probably because of its popularity, having way more people than Xbox. But how does that then hurt PlayStation? How does it hurt Xbox? All we would get is a clearer picture on the actual population of these online games, which I think is the real prize here, especially for the consumer. So that I know that, for example, if I'm going into Splitgate 2, which has not gone back into beta, yes, but if I'm going into a game like that, I'm a console player, and I see Steam, and Steam has very little players, then I could check with the console player numbers and probably see a different picture. Maybe there are still way more people playing it on console as opposed to on PC, which could perhaps give me more reason to give it a try. I mean, if all I have to rely on in a case such as this is Steam and Steam trackers,
then I'm not really getting the full picture, which may discourage me from actually wanting to check out the game, which affects the game more than it does the platform itself.
The other thing I wanted to mention with this video is that in terms of like competitive integrity, of course, there's a sort of uneven matchmaking and smurf issues in low population games. This is further exacerbated when you don't know how many players there actually are and you are essentially in the dark with that information. This can lead to a sort of unfairness in a way, because all the Smurfs don't want to, lose their progress on their main account, and they get into lower ranked lobbies just to like decimate everybody. Which, again, it's not necessarily something that affects the player numbers, but it could deter them from growing. Needing to know this is one way that we can sort of address this, because the number of players itself can then tell you exactly what you're walking into and what you're looking at. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, this was just a take on why I believe that we need to know the console player counts on the just more actively, I guess. Just have it more readily available, similar to, Steam charts, Steam PB, etc. Having this information would be vital for anybody really. But yeah, thank you for watching the video. If you did make it this far, please do leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, catch you in the next one.